Things are happening in New York State. We're going to find out all about it on this week's edition of the State of Greater Western New York Report. And as always, it's brought to you by those wonderful people that each week our community makes history. Each week you make history. And each week there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard. The Mendon Honeylight Falls Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the State of Greater Western New York Report. Join us each episode as we discuss fantastic topics ranging from history to science to the strange and the wonderful, as well as the treasured spirit with which our region has infused America. We challenge you to consider all things Greater Western New York, from our region's very beginnings to how it inspires, how it empowers, and why it is so admired. Here's the host of the State of Greater Western New York Report, Chris Carosa. Welcome, everyone, and we've got a couple of great guests today on today's show, and let's just get right into it. They're from Project Civica, and let's start with Kim. Kim, you are the president of Project Civica, and tell us a little bit about that, a little bit about your background and how you got involved.
Thanks for having us, Chris. Yes, Project Civica is an action 501c4 organization. You can get to find out more about us at our website, projectcivica.org. We founded Project Civica to challenge the burdensome trend of imposing government overreach through citizen-led action initiatives by providing the structure and support needed for confident civic engagement. And we have a number of great initiatives that we're focusing on this fall, just in time for the election.
All right. Thanks, Kim. Now, Kim's been on the show before. New, I think, is Steve. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is at Project Civica.
Yeah, so I'm, joined. I'm a co-founder with Project Civica, and we see, just as Kim has mentioned, we got to get people involved again. We've let that slip away. It's our republic was set up beautifully, where we, the people, really have all the power. That's how it was set up, and we haven't been taking advantage of that and utilizing our mass numbers to have the politicians do what we want to do. So that's how I got involved with Project Civica. And I'm a director of political affairs. And basically, we came up with what's called a common sense contract with New York, which we could go into a little bit of detail.
Before we go into that, let's talk a little bit more about Project Civica for those of you who don't know out there. They've actually got a website. I'll pull it up right here. And you can see. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about what this website is for, and maybe some of the items on the nav bar here that people might be interested in seeing before we get into the next item, which has its own website.
Yes, so this is a beautiful picture of Central Park. So we are a statewide organization, and as I said before, we are focusing on election 2024. We have a number of initiatives that we are working on for it. A big one is recruiting poll inspectors. Those are the paid workers. So we have a push out statewide to encourage people to sign up with their local board of elections and and work to be a poll inspector. It's highly needed. We're trying to achieve parity, which means we're trying to get an equal number of Democrats and Republicans as poll inspectors across the state, especially in New York City, which I know isn't necessarily the focus of this program area-wise, but there is a need both in Buffalo and the Monroe area, Monroe County area as well. So, we're encouraging people to think of this as their patriotic duty. Get out and sign up at your local board of elections and work the board for election day. Our elections don't happen unless we have people willing to serve in those roles. And you really have to think of it as your patriotic duty. I was my 80 80-plus-year-old father for the first time signed up to work the polls as well, because he sees the civic need for it. So if an 80-year-old can do it, we all can do it too. It's just a day or a couple of days. The other big initiative I want to talk about is we are also recruiting volunteers to observe the elections as a poll watcher. And again, that's exactly what it is: observing the elections, getting eyes on the process. And we are running trainings, at least for now, at least weekly, on Zoom. So it's easy to do all across the state. And then we'll probably pick that pace up as we get closer to November. We're partnering with another organization, and we'll get you credentials and teach you what to look for when you get into watch the election process.
Can you just kind of summarize those two different poll jobs again? Because they sound like they're the same, but they're not.
They're different, yes. One is a paid position where you are working for the Board of Elections. That's poll inspector or poll worker, and that you have to sign up through your Board of Elections, and you do need to be part of either the Republican or Democrat Party. The other one is a volunteer position where you're doing your civic duty, providing oversight of our elections in that process, from logic and accuracy tests to the voting process to the canvas at the end and the audit that they do at the end. So we will train you to do that. For that, you can be an independent, you can be any party, and we're really encouraging people to go to our website, projectcivica.org, and sign up for those, at least for the poll watcher, a volunteer position.
Now, to go on Project Civica, you go under initiatives. Is this voter initiatives or is it election process?
Actually, if you scroll down on that page, not on the drop down menu,
yeah,
just scroll down on the whole home page. You can see all our initiatives are there. If you keep scrolling down, there's the events and signups. Very easy. So there's some of the things we're doing. The first one is our hand counting paper ballots. That's an initiative. We would like to get away from depending totally on machines. They have led to distrust, I think, in our election system because people just don't know what's going on inside of them. Whether it's just people hand counting ballots like they do all over the world. There were recent elections in France and Great Britain, and they hand count ballots there. Another one that just comes to mind is in Taiwan. The citizens there in the precinct hand count the ballots. They don't use machines. So whether it's using machines with a very robust audit that's hand counted, or we use machines and then we double check the results to provide trust in hand count, or we totally hand count, that's kind of what we're trying to educate on. Plus, it teaches people about that reconciliation process that has to happen for elections, right? The books have to match, right? It's kind of like accounting, right? That idea, the numbers have to match. We also have several research projects going on right now. IV3, I mentioned there. You can see also Dead Voters Society, which is kind of a fun name, but basically what we're doing is searching for voters who were dead and voted. And the last one is a FOIL, which is Freedom of Information Law. We have a team, doing freedom of information law requests all across New York State for pertinent material for research. And then the last one, of course, is what I mentioned, the poll watcher training, which is on Zoom. And there's actually one tonight. So if people want to jump on there and sign up and join our Zoom meeting tonight, we'll send you the link.
Otherwise, we have the training sessions for the hand counting paper ballots in Monroe and Erie County on Saturday, September 14th. Okay,
exactly.
So
yep, you can sign up there.
So for people out there who are kind of interested in this, the poll sitter, I think I got that name right. Those are the people, or poll. Those are the people. The poll inspector. They are the ones who are sitting at the table, who sign you in, or who are otherwise helping guide you as you vote. That is a job that starts before the polls open and ends after the polls close. So basically, you're there all day on election day. And Is there training that goes along with that, or do you just show up and do it?
No, you don't just show up. You apply at the Board of Elections, and they get you trained. And there's training. I know in Erie County, all the trainings are in, I believe, even starting now, but there's trainings all through the month of September. So it's not too late to jump on board with that.
Okay, and then the poll watcher, generally what hours are you doing that? Are you watching the polls all day, or are you only watching it once the polling ends?
No, that one is a lot less time, and we do ask that you get there early in the morning to kind of get those initial numbers. So it does have an early start, but you can go back to that same polling location at the end of the day. During the course of the day, if you're going grocery shopping, you maybe could hit another poll. Election district and check on what's happening there. Yes. So that one's a little bit more less time and a little bit more convenient to people's busy schedules. But like I said, there's a dire need for poll workers, those poll inspectors across the state. So please consider or even saying volunteering. Please consider working with at the Board of Elections in those jobs.
All right, great. Now the next thing, let's go back to the site one more time, because there is an initiative here that we're going to get into right now, although after the break we'll get into more details, and that is the Common Sense Contract. So this actually, you can get into it from the projectcivica.org website, but it goes to its own website. I'm not sure quite that this is it, but
scroll down. If you scroll down, and then if you see where it says,
yep,
you could click for a printable version so people could see it, or go to the website. There you go.
So this is the website for the Common Sense Contract with Western New York. Now, before we get into the details, like I'm saying, let's go over the reason or what motivated you to do this and what it all means. So I don't know which
okay.
one.
I'll
Steve,
jump on
you want to do that? Okay.
I'll do that. So in 1994, Newt Gingrich created and Dick Armey created what was called the Contract with America. And they flipped 54 seats in the House and 9 seats in the Senate. First time that the Republicans had control of the House in 40 years. The reason they were able to do that is because they gave voters specific items that they would do if you voted for them. People, we hear all the time demagoguery and so forth. I'm going to lower your taxes. I'm going to lower your school taxes. I'm doing A, B, C. But they don't commit to doing it. So we created, again, based on the contract with America, we created the Common Sense Contract with New York. And these are 7 specific pledges that we put together. And basically what I did is I found through different polling and so forth, what I thought were the most pressing issues that New Yorker felt were affecting their lives negatively. And then what we did is we went out and we did focus groups. So typically a focus group is 20, 30 people, and they come up with the conclusion. And that conclusion typically, people think that that's solid. We went out and focus group 292 people face to face and read each of the 7 pledges to them and had them rated. We had them rated on the importance of the issue to them and the verbiage, the language. Was it understandable? Our results were phenomenal. We had over 97% approved to strongly approve with the pledges. So we know that this is what the people in New York want our legislature, our New York State legislature, to fix. So we also feel strongly that if you look at the numbers, the poll numbers, and we'll get not poll numbers, but the actual voting numbers, in 2020, we had 8.1 million people come out to vote. All right. In 2022, we had 5.1. Now, that's 3 million people that didn't come out to vote in New York. That was such an important election as far as it was for the governor of the United States, governor of New York. Now, why didn't they come out to vote? We contend that the reason is because they had no reason to come out and vote, because nobody was telling them what they would do if you come out to vote for me. So we feel that people that sign on to this Common Sense Contract with New York, and they pledge to the voter that we will do this if you vote for me in the Senate and the Assembly, that people will, again, come out and vote. You see right up here the numbers of votes. On this graph here, you had 6.1 million, right? Did not vote. That's absurd. It's our responsibility to go out and put in the legislators, representatives that we want. So, we have these pledges, which we can go over in a few minutes, after the break, and, explain why this will get people out the door and come out and vote.
All right. Well, with that, we will take a short break. We'll be back right after this message. Through the mists of time, nature and man have both created and buried treasures beyond the imagination. With the ages, these riches slowly dissolve into mere myths until they are forever forgotten. But there are those brave souls who tirelessly cling to the truth, ever seeking to discover the undiscovered, to reveal what has always been there, to uncover the hidden gems of a land thought forsaken but loved by millions. "50 Hidden Gems of Greater Western New York. Discover the secrets in your own backyard." Buy your copy now at 50hiddengems.com. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the State of Greater Western New York report. With us today is Project Civica's Kim Hermance and Steve Gillan. They are talking about the common sense contract with New York. It's something that they've developed fairly recently, and it really kind of lays out a game plan similar to what you had, I don't know, how many years ago? 30 years ago? Wow, that's a long time. With Newt Gingrich and when he was running the House of Representatives back in 1994, I guess. But guys, tell us a little bit about this contract. Summarize the points quickly, and then let's see what kind of details we might want to get into with regards to them. I'm going to pop up on the screen a picture of it, and then
right.
Go ahead.
So I'll go through. So the first one is immigration. All right. And what it would be, again, as we said, these are going to be specific legislative actions that the candidates will take and pledge to the voter if they come out. Now, the first one is immigration, and it's to repeal the sanctuary state status and make it illegal for any funding to go to any city that declares itself a sanctuary city with our taxpayer funding. And it's $2.4 billion that is in this year's budget to go for illegal immigrants in New York. Pledge 2 is crime and law and order, to repeal all pro-criminal laws and hold DAs responsible for not enforcing the laws that are in place. Pledge number 3 is parental rights. Parental rights have to be protected. No woke DEI and improper sexuality in our school. Number 4 is voter integrity, election integrity. Require voter ID and a full audit of the New York State voter rolls, which we know are a disaster. Number 5, budget priorities. $237 billion is intolerable with our hard-earned money. That's larger than California, Texas, and Florida, which have greater populations than New York. Where is all that money going? Pledge number 6, medical mandates. We can never again allow what happened to us during COVID with the lockdowns. Number 7, the economy and the environment. The economy and energy. Promote New York State's resources to build the economy and control inflation. So these are 7 issues that people feel are definitely impacted. As you can see, they're all New York centric. So that's why it's, not so vague. We're given specifics. This is what they'll do. If they get up there, they'll sponsor or co-sponsor a bill to handle all of these 7 pledges.
Now, when you develop these 7 themes or items, Were there some that kind of rose above the top? Are they listed in, for example, priority order, the way you have
Well,
them
no,
laid out?
not necessarily. They were to a point. Okay, so when we were looking at it, we are looking at the polls and seeing on exit polls and everything what people were saying, and obviously immigration is a huge issue, and the economy is a huge issue. Crime and law and order. I mean, we see what's going on with warfare, lawfare, and everything else, and DAs not following through. So parental rights, we know that we have on the back is an initiative on the back of the ballot this year, the ERA initiative. That's going to basically take parents' rights away. And they'll be able to do whatever they want to do with our children in school when it comes to, sexuality and, hormone blockers and things of that nature. So that's how we, looked at it. We looked at, again, you look at 65% of the American people feel that there's problems with our election system. These are too specific. The voter ID and the auditing of the voter rolls are two ways that we could start. It's not it's not a total solution to the problems with our voting system. However, it's a start to get control of it in place. So that's how we sort of went through the process, because there's many issues. We all know there's many issues here in New York, and that's why we focus group them to see what the people feel are the most important, impacting their lives.
So let's talk about the focus group process a little bit, because there's a question that we had from our listeners right now.
Sure.
They
So I
is there a was it throughout the state? Let's start with that. Yeah, demographic. I think that's what the question really was all about. Was it geographically diverse? Did you have any difference of opinions, say from certain parts of the state versus other parts of the state, or is this really representative of, say, the vast middle?
It's representative of, I'd say, the vast middle. We had Orange County, Putnam County, we had down in Long Island, we had down in the city, areas of the city. So we went around where we can get people together. And how the process worked is, I'd get groups of between 20, 30, even 10 people together, and I would sit there and read each of the full pledges, and then we would have them rate them. Between 1 to 5, as far as priorities. Do they strongly agree these are the major issues? So that's how we did it. So they would 11 different focus groups that were done to come up with that.
So in the process of doing that, how did people volunteer? I guess I'm trying to get a sense for what were the kind of people that were actually interested in this process.
We
Maybe
went to
Steve, you can go into the demographics of who, like the independents, Republicans, that kind of thing. That might help people.
Right. So what we did is we went to different organizations, civic organizations, and I requested that we come in and do a focus group because it's a nonpartisan issue. We wanted to get it's common sense. It wasn't just Republican, Democrats, or independents. It's everybody. So, excuse me, we went there and I had 70%. It was weighted Republican, and it was 70% Republican, but we had 30% that were non-Republican, that were either independents, non-affiliated, or Democrats. So that's how we put it together, and these people were willing. And the pledges themselves, again, it's not partisan. It's just basic common sense, and people agree with that. It's affecting everybody. These 7 issues affecting every single New Yorker's life. And then that's how we came up with the solutions as far as what were going to be the final pledges, if that answers your question.
Yep. So the next question is, has there been, I guess this is like a two-sided question. One side is in terms of publicizing this, where might people see this be publicized?
Okay, so the whole strategy with this is that we're asking candidates to sign on. Okay, we're not endorsing the candidates that sign on. The candidates are signing on and pledging to the voter that this is what they'll do for them. So you could go to, Common Sense Contract with New York, and you could see, Common Sense Contract with New York.org, and you could see the full pledges and see, go in there, you see what the whole idea of it is and what us, citizens are telling our representatives We want you to handle these issues. And that's our right. That is our God given right to be able to tell our representatives what we want. So we're asking anybody to go read the common sense contract and then contact your assemblyman and your senator, the candidates in your district, and say, hey, are you familiar with this? I want you to sign on. And if not, why? Why will you not make a commitment to me that you will take care of this stuff if I come out and vote for you? Otherwise, why do people go out and vote for somebody that really doesn't promise them anything? And these are the promises that they'll make.
So you're leaving it up to the local constituents to submit this to their candidates to ask them to sign off on it. You're not contacting the candidates
No,
directly.
Yeah.
we are doing, we're doing an extensive background on going to the powers that be and trying to get them to do, to agree to get their candidates to sign on. We're contacting individual candidates that have already, committed to signing on to the common sense contract. So we're doing our end also, but it's a big state. And, it would be very helpful if people just contacted their candidates and say, hey, read this, would really like to see you not endorse it, but become a signature and promise to me, this is what you'll do. Then I'll come out and vote for you.
Have you received any pushback on this at all?
No, it's tough for anybody to push back on it because, it's been focus group number one, and that's a huge focus group, 292 people. Number two, there's just basic common sense. I mean, and again, we have to get back to common sense in our politics. Not Republican, not Democrat, whatever. It's what's best for the New York people. And this is what is best for the New York people. And, nobody's really pushed back greatly at all on it.
And have you, on the flip side, have you heard any, say, in terms of support, not from within your own group, but outside of your group? What's been the response with regards to that?
Yes, we've had, there'll be people coming on, and it'll be on our website. You'll see what who the candidates will be that will not endorse, but become signatures. But then we'll also have endorsements, and we will have in very week or two, we'll be having some big endorsements that'll be coming on there also endorsing it. Congressional candidates. So, because they have to make their connection also to local. All politics are local, So this allows congressional candidates also to say, yeah, I agree with this. This is what I'd like to see happen in New York, even though I'm a federal, I'm running for federal office. However, any organization that does agree with it, the more support that we show in endorsements, the more support we'll give to the whole concept of, let's change New York. Let's change the makeup of Albany. And that's the only way things are going to change. Even if, even if President Trump wins in New York, for argument's sake, that doesn't impact us if we do not change the makeup in Albany. They'll do whatever they want. We have one party rule, and that just doesn't work.
So do we have any...
If I may?
Go ahead, Kim.
If I could, I just want to address something I think you were touching on the idea of marketing it. So we do have plans in place to market this across the state or to promote this across the state, both on social media platforms that we're on, like X and Facebook, Instagram, etc. We also are hoping to promote it locally in local papers, and word of mouth is another one. And in terms of feedback from people, I've presented the concept. A couple of our volunteers, actually just one person did it just this past weekend at a rally, and the feedback amongst citizens is extremely positive. Yeah, they really like this idea. They like the idea of being able to hold their elected officials accountable, and they like the idea of knowing what their candidates stand for, and that candidate is willing to put down on a piece of paper their signature, and I will do this in Albany. And on the, I don't think it's healthy for any republic, democracy, to have one party rule. Our country, our state thrives on the free exchange of ideas and working toward something that will represent everyone. And when you have one party rule, when you have a super majority, it just doesn't work. And that's what we're seeing that in New York, just evidence of that.
And
So,
we have to get to, just if I may, I'm sorry.
mm,
We also on the contract, we're giving the tools to the elected officials that want to run for office. We're giving them the tools. So we have this our common sense contract has been translated into 7 different languages. And the reason we did that is you have all these minority groups, in different areas in the city and all over the place that nobody reaches out to. They don't come out and vote because nobody tells them to come out and vote for them. So the candidates will be able to go onto the website and they have access through, we have a resource page for them where they'll be able to, if they have a Bangladeshi community, click on that. We're going to be advertising it in local papers, with their special neighborhoods and things of that nature, because we have to get out as many people as we can to vote. And we feel that we put a program together that will accomplish that.
all right, and I just put up on the screen a couple of the websites that we saw, and you, the listeners, the watchers, the viewers, can go to either of these websites to learn more about Project Civica or specifically the Common Sense contract with New York and do your thing. Offer to volunteer, check it out, share it with your political candidates, whatever you want to do. It's all there, free for you to use, and I'm sure Kim and Steve will answer any questions that you might have that you communicate to them through their site. So, Kim, Steve,
Absolutely.
thanks for being here today. It's been a lot of good information for people to use, and we want to remind everybody, if you want to be a member of the live studio audience, it's the only way you can ask questions to our guests. Then go to stateof.greaterwesternnewyork.com and register for free. And every Thursday morning, you'll get the super secret link to the live studio audience. Again, it's all free. And that's the only way that you can watch the show live and ask questions to the guests. Now, of course, I understand a lot of people have to work during lunch on Thursdays, so you can only see it later on. The show is archived and put up on our site. Just go to stateof.greaterwesternnewyork.com and you can choose among any of the categories that you like and watch the shows again. Otherwise, if you like our Facebook page or subscribe to our YouTube channel, then the show is rebroadcast every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. That's all for this week. We'll see everyone next week, and bye-bye for now.